All right. Hey, y'all, what's going on? This is your man, Sabir. What's happening? What's popping? Well, I can tell you what's dropping. Welcome to another live episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I am your host, as always, Sabir. What's going on, y'all? Another day above ground, right? Another opportunity to fix some things or something. What needs to be fixed, huh? Are you still running around here trying to fix other people? Huh? Are you still pointing fingers in the opposite direction? Are you still blaming somebody for the condition you find yourself in today when it's all your responsibility to handle your business? See that after a certain age, you can't continue. You can. It's just not a good idea to continue to hold on to what you think mommy and daddy should have did for you, what you think Aunt Mary should have did for you, grandma, grandpa, Mr. Johnson down the street. No, you can't continue to do that and think that you're going to have healthy relationships right now. No, not at all. And surprisingly, you're going to also find out, if you haven't already found out, that you can't change anybody. You can't take somebody from a place they choose to be in and bring them into this fantasy or this idealistic way of living that you have found some level of success in. Doesn't mean anything. Because you have found success in that particular area doesn't mean it's going to be a successful area for me. Yeah. That's that sticky pad, man, that we get stuck on in relationships because we want so much for the relationship to be at a particular level. But that's what we want. A person may present themselves as wanting the same thing. But you know what? I love chocolate ice cream. But if I had the choice between going to Friendly's to get that forbidden chocolate ice cream, getting Breyers, the all natural ice cream, or anything else that may be on the shelf, I have these choices of what chocolate ice cream I can get. When you take away one of those choices, I have another opportunity to select. But what happens when you are out of selections? What do? Right? What if they only have vanilla ice cream? What's the option if chocolate is your favorite ice cream? You know the answer. The answer is a simple one. I'll go buy some chocolate syrup. I'll get partially chocolate ice cream. I'll get another flavor of ice cream, but chocolate ice cream is what your heart is set on. But if you don't have your preferred brand, will you be satisfied with it if it's another brand? I don't know if you've ever had forbidden chocolate ice cream. It is just that, forbidden. When you start eating the forbidden chocolate ice cream, it just does something to you, man. But it may not for you. You may have a preference for the all natural Breyers. What's the other one? The Blue Bunny, right? It's a lot of ice creams out there, but it has to be a particular chocolate ice cream for me. The only thing that comes close to the recreation of the forbidden chocolate ice cream is to use some Hershey's chocolate syrup within the mix of another flavor. So I can get Breyer's vanilla bean, add chocolate syrup, stir it up. I have my chocolate ice cream. There's always an option. But what happens when people don't look at other options to bring in resolve to a particular thing? What happens? People act like they have no options. Well, I slapped her because or I punched him because you ran out of words. In order to have more than one option, you have to accept that option A may not always be available. And the funny thing is, we'll use a person as an option, right? We'll develop a relationship, we'll sustain that relationship outside of our current relationship. Understand? Because we plan to fail. We plan to fail in many instances. We know that this person is going to cheat. Well, you're going to get a flat tire. You're going to get dents, little pings, road debris all over the place. You're going to get those things, but do you stop driving? Just think about it for a minute. We pick and choose what we do in varied situations where in option A, there was no effort. It was an expectation that option A was going to be there. When option A left, option B became a problem. So you went from having one problem over here to creating another problem within yourself because you failed to plan, but you adequately planned to fail. Because all you know is it has to work this way, it has to work that way. Because if it doesn't, then it's over. How much work did you really put into this? You just went into this relationship with the idea that everything was going to go well, that everything was going to be hunky-dory. And then when things weren't going the way you thought that they should go, you already knew that you were going to not take this. You were not going to tolerate this. You were not going to deal with this. And I always do this because it's something special about this, because people say, well, I can't do this. What is this? What is it that you can't do? Instead of saying, I can't problem solve, because the admission alone is not in the plan of options, but the admission that I can't problem solve. I'm not good with structured conversation toward resolving issues. See, when you don't have that kind of conversation, it's presented in another way. And you may have all of the considerations and respect for the person, the other person who you are at odds with or you are having a conflict with. You may have all intentions on being respectful, which we talked about in last week's show. Respect. What respect looks like, what What respect is to you is not the same necessarily to me. And you need to learn how to show me the respect that I need in order for this relationship to be doable. And it's a conversation we fail to have. And again, we're always planning to fail. Because if this happens, then what do you do? If that happens, what do you do? But when it comes to a human being, it's not just that cut and dry. If you drive down the street, you get a flat tire, you know what to do. There's the simple thing is I'm going to fix this tire or I'm going to call a service to come and do it for me. When you're hundreds of miles out away from the immediate access that you're looking for in the moment because you want somebody to fix it now. You don't want to do it yourself, but you want somebody to come fix it now. You'd rather sit there for 3 hours and complain and be upset and angry because they didn't respond to your request fast enough. But all the while, you have the spare in your trunk. But your mindset is, well, I pay for this service. I pay them. They should be here. They shouldn't be taking 2, 3 hours. But I'd rather be angry with them for not getting here until 2, 3 hours later, me being late to an event, me disappointing somebody, me losing an opportunity. Because I pay them $30 a month to be here. You understand what I'm saying to you? See, something so simple, so easily resolved is a problem for some people. Why is that? Is that really a concern for me? Is that really something I need to put my energy into? Because you have the right to be who you are. You have the right to act the way you want to act. You have that right. I have the right to not accept it. If somebody is always in a mode of seeing things in this life as a problem, you're not going to get anything done in this relationship, guaranteed. Their concept is based on conflict and confrontation, not problem solving. Yet, let me say that again. The focus is on conflict and confrontation, not problem solving. It's too much energy for some people in problem solving because I have to think this through. I have to focus on accountability, my accountability, my responsibility in the situation because how I address it is going to be me forcing my consequences. If I just go back at you, if I just throw a counterpunch, then I'm already justifying within myself what I do because I'm defending myself against something you did to me. Whether I did it intentionally, unintentionally, or whether I even did it at all, you just internalized it that way because of your own thinking. The most basic of things don't come to mind when it comes to problem solving. Because for some reason, I have to first tell you about you. So I want you to feel bad. I want you to feel small. I want to humiliate, embarrass you. I want to desecrate your humanity. Yeah, because you were so thoughtless in your statements and your behavior. And then I'm going to tell you how you hurt me. So once I beat you up, put you down, I feel validated. And then I still expect for us to have this relationship at whatever level of care it even is. It's important. It's important to understand this because you will continue to interact with people in a way, a fantasy way. It doesn't exist. You don't give the person the freedom to be who they are. And we all have the freedom to be who we are, to accept what we want to accept and what we don't want to accept. We have to understand that part. You can't make me do anything. You can't make me be anything. As a 30-year clinician, I can tell you I don't have the power to change anybody's life. I give you the information, you use it or you don't. The change comes about because you were led towards self-discovery. You were led in a direction of, well, how about we look at it this way? How about we look at what role we did have? We can continue to tell ourselves, oh, I didn't have any role in that, but you did. You participated even if you sat quietly. You contributed to the outcome of the interaction, right? Even if you sat there and just listened and had no response, unless the person requested that you just listen, you didn't help the circumstance. They were looking for answers. They may have been looking for more confrontation, but were they looking to be hurtful and harmful, or were they looking for freedom? You made the determination within yourself what they were seeking and didn't even listen enough to know what they were seeking. You can't tell somebody what they're seeking in this confrontation. You have to listen. How much work did you really put into this? And that's what it all comes down to. What did you put into this? How much effort did you put into, we need to fix this? When you're in conflict with anyone, you can see the value or lack thereof of this relationship. It's no sense in keep trying to push upon somebody else something that they can't receive. You still stay the course in being who you are. You're being cordial, being respectful in terms of how you talk to the person, how you interact with them, the energy you bring into the circle with them. That's all your responsibility. If you allow somebody else's condition to trickle into yours and you begin to react and act off of that energy, that belongs to you, not that person. Because what you're showing is, well, if this person doesn't do this, then I'm not going to do that. So, in other words, I'm going to take my toys and go home because this person gives me their negative energy. They're not giving it to you. You're taking it. You're taking it. They bring what they bring to the table. That's their energy. This is where your work comes in, where you have to look at how that energy is affecting you and what it is you need to do to not have that energy within you. Every time you let it in, you're giving that person more and more control over you. Right? Now your focus is on that person. Your focus is not on what we're at the table for. That's part of the problem that we have as human beings, that we don't value what the other person brings to the table. We don't value what they bring to the table. What we do is we use what they bring to the table that we're not in agreement with as the divide. You understand what I'm saying? Listen. I was listening to an episode of Steve Harvey, and this is no shade that I'm throwing on Steve. It's the shade that I'm throwing on black media outlets, so called. We play this all this shake your ass music. And then we play the blame game. We begin to have conversations about matters that we are in disagreement with, but we have now made it a black issue. When you disagree with this black issue, then you get preyed upon for attacks because why don't you agree with this, brother? Now I'm your brother. But my point is that the conversation from Steve was regarding comments made by uh, Vance, JD Vance. And it's a very blanket statement, very vague. It gave no particulars. It was just stated that, well, this was said by the protesters, and the response given by JD Vance was just like ugly. What does that mean? What does that mean? That his statements were ugly. What did he say? The focus wasn't on that. The focus was on staying in the problem, talking about resolve. That's a difference, right? You want to present a problem. Oh, I didn't like what he was saying. This is what was happening on a protest. And so are advocating for the protesters? Okay. So Vance had a different opinion. You made it ugly. Based on what? Based on what? Never came. But many of our radio stations, urban radio stations, put information out like that. Don't give you any specifics. Make it about race. Make it about hate. Make it about what they ain't doing for us. Make it about what they need to do for us. What they ain't doing it for us, but they doing it for them. Make it about that. No specifics. Let me give you the aftermath, not what preceded all of that. When I'm posting, it's what you get. You understand what I'm saying here? That's all we get. What kind of relationship is that? Where you're giving me all the negativity. You're giving me that moment and not what preceded or what proceeded. You're telling me what he said was just ugly. It was just ridiculous. It was just hate filled. Hate based on what? Based on what? I just told you about chocolate ice cream and how my preference is Friendly's forbidden chocolate ice cream. I'll have other chocolate ice creams if they have it. Or I'll find a solution to make myself a desirable chocolate ice cream. I said I'll get some Breyers vanilla bean. Can't go wrong with that. I'll get me some Hershey's chocolate syrup. Put them together, stir it up. I have a preferred flavor. I don't walk around and stomp my feet, have a hissy fit, because I don't have Friendly's forbidden chocolate, which is not available in South Florida. Now, if it is, y'all let me know after the show. Hey, where I can get it in South Florida. I can get it up north. I can't get it here. I can get certain beef hot sausage up north that I can't get here. Parts, hot sausage. So it's a variety of things that you have to begin to look at. Tie it all together. How much effort has been put into educating the urban community about politics beyond who doesn't like us, black people, and what politician hasn't done anything for us black people. What they need to do for black people, but not giving people the information on how, why this is happening, how it's happening. I spent a lot of time prior to the election, after, during the whole, from President Obama to date. I've spent time learning some things on what happens at varied levels of government, and a lot happens at the local level, the bottom, the trenches, that doesn't get addressed. Behavior that has to be looked at, that's not looked at. Behavior that begins in the trenches. Again, something else I was watching the other day on TV. The Republicans, I just saw the Republicans' response to what's happening in California, the redistricting and all that stuff that they're doing to try to get more seats, right? But in the same breath, they're trying to get more seats and they're creating more de-seats amongst the people, because the only time that you can always come and say that we work for you is when you are in need of getting a seat or removing seats. These are the very people we put in office. When we start looking at our governors, when we start looking at our lieutenant governors, when we start looking at our mayors, when we start looking at city council, what is city council comprised of? What is it exactly that do they do? We keep getting stuck in the on a sticky pad about the presidency. At the end of the day, I'm gonna still have to feed my children. I'm going to still have to pay my utilities. I'm going to still have to pay my rents and my mortgages. I'm going to still have to do those things. You up in arms about what? Okay, so the change begins at the lower level. When you look at your judges, when you look at those seats, your congressmen, you look at those people. This behavior is consistent in all of your relationships. In all of your relationships. It's no different. They have different levels of intensity, but when you're in the position with your spouse that's similar to one that you're in with a coworker at the job, they're dealt with differently. The outcome is going to always be the same because it's within you to problem solve in that capacity. So there's effective problem solving and there's ineffective problem solving, right? Knocking somebody out to you may be an effective way of problem solving. But when that person comes to, the problem is still there. It's still there. So you're going to keep dropping that person every time they come to? You're going to drop them again? What has changed? This is your landlord. This is your employer. This is your spouse. This is your sibling. This is a law enforcement official. You're not looking at you. You're putting more effort into waiting for it to fail than you are into making it work. Yeah. That's maturity. That's adult behavior. You begin to realize that this energy going here is not making sense. What are you really angry about? Because if you have to react this way toward me, first thing I want to do is get away from you. Especially if I don't see that you're pursuing anything that makes sense. You just have an attitude because you don't like me, because I outwork you, because I don't get caught up in all the shenanigans. I don't do all of the gossiping and all that stuff. You may just want me to be a part of that. You can't say it. But because you can't say something that simple, hey, like, how about, can we get together during lunch? Someone like to pick your brain. We can't do that. It's easier to express envy, jealousy, and murder my own brother. Yeah, that's easier. Isn't that something? It's easier to take my brother's life than to sit down and have a conversation with my brother. It's easier to walk away from a marriage than to sit down and have a conversation with my spouse about the event that happened. It's easier just to harbor all of that. They're not doing this. They stopped doing this. They stopped doing that. They don't. But that other person doesn't know how you're being affected by it. So how much effort did you really put into fixing that relationship? How much effort did you put into building that relationship? And wonder why you can't keep any kind of relationship with anyone who is not doing things your way. You don't look at your own control. You have none. You bully other people. You take advantage of other people. You entice people so that they're part of your rah-rah crowd. Not realizing that you're going from a rah-rah crowd to a hoorah crowd. Yeah, yeah. Because that's where conflict and confrontation breeds. Because that's how we handle it. Even you so-called conservative people. Yeah. So you have to look at these kinds of things. So the article today, Psychology Today, Suzanne Dagas White, PhD. Suzanne, I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. If not, forgive me. But I always give credit where credit is due. This is not my article. It's an article of interest. 4 signs of quiet quitting in a relationship. The partnership becomes more like a business deal. Yeah. Key points from this article today. Quiet quitting is the practice of doing the minimum to hold on to a job, or in this case, a marriage. I gave you varied scenarios so you can see for yourself, look at your thinking, look at what you put into it. How many times do we go to these fast food restaurants or these places where our young people work, right? And look at the efforts that they put forth in fulfilling the duties of their job. The half-ass attitude, the lazy swagger, the uncaringness, but you're getting paid. So I'm contributing to that as well if I'm your employer. Right? So you got to look at these things. A quietly quitting partner, another point, may look for excuses to avoid intimacy and lovemaking. Quiet quitters is the third point. Quiet quitters may fantasize about being single again, although they make no effort to leave the relationship. Don't that make sense to you? Now, again, the focus here is on a relationship. For me, it's not just focusing on marriage. I'm married, therefore, it would be applicable. If you're single, take a look at why you're still single. What is it about being single that makes married life not preferable? Think about it for a minute. I'm single because the dating scene is crazy. Online dating, crazy. Things people say, crazy. But every single person who is seeking to date is saying the same thing about you. Are you exempt? I often talk about this sister who posts on social media all the time. Wonderful person, but it's always bashing men. I don't want to contend with none of that. Now that's your demon because you had failed relationships, bad relationships with other people. That's your demon. I'm not going to get into a fight with your demon. That's your fight. What I look like going to jump into somebody else's fight when I'm fighting my own? I'm gonna jump out of my demon fight and go help you fight your demons. No, 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 no. That's not my responsibility in any relationship. In any relationship, stop talking about how much you love a person. When you look at situations that are a threat to your peace, to the stability of your soul, your mental health, you better start paying attention because there's a lot of relationships out there that are literally killing you. Self-imposed, self-inflicted, because you saw it coming. You just didn't want the responsibility of having a solid relationship. You wanted something you needed, something that you could control. That's why you're in this position again. So you're enduring more pain being single, actually, than you are being committed. Think about it. You start dating somebody, y'all vibing, y'all rolling out a little bit, but there's nothing really put into this relationship simply because we just chilling. I want to stay single, but we always wind up getting in our feelings. And you begin to live your life just that way. Never fully committed to anything because of the L's you've taken throughout the years, because of what you continue to tell yourself about a successful relationship. It doesn't happen this way, therefore I'm out. Right? Not looking at there's work involved. I don't have to put my stuff on the table, but I do have to put myself in a position of being vulnerable so you can know who I am, so you can know some of the things that I've encountered. It doesn't mean it's your responsibility to help fix it because that's not your job. That's not my job. It's not for you to avoid those things because I have chosen not to manage it appropriately. That's not my job. Because I say something that triggers that within you that is unresolved, it don't mean that I should have to spend my life trying to avoid that area simply because you haven't confronted it. I may be in your life to help you confront that. Just by being in your life and showing you the example of how I deal with things. Not having to say anything to you about any of that. You should be seeking your own freedom. But when you're not seeking your own freedom, you're going to continue to take others around you with the same stuff. Hey, Lily, Maya, drop the attitude. I like that. Drop the attitude. Yeah, I like that. Y'all, thanks for joining in this morning. Ella, you have to begin to look at the contribution you're making to the split. And this is what this article is talking about that we're going to go a little more into detail now. A lot has been written about quiet quitting a job, but there are also signs that a person is quiet quitting their marriage or long-term relationship. Decades ago, before the trendy term had been developed, Neil Diamond and Barbra Streisand provided a dead-on description of quiet quitting in their duet, You Don't Bring Me Flowers Anymore. The lyrics describe a relationship in which partners just quit trying. Don't you know, you don't bring me flowers anymore. You don't do this. You don't do that. You don't. You have to look at how many times have you said to your partner, wife, husband, you used to buy me flowers. You used to take me out every week, and you used to do these things. But you waited till it's been a year or so down the line to say, well, you used to do this. But let me ask you a question. How much was going on in that time? See, because right now, a year has passed, and you're talking about how a year has passed and you don't do these things anymore. What did you do about it when you saw that not happening? What did you do? What was going on in the life of that home, in the life of the individual? What was going on in your life? How did you lose track of it? Isn't that your responsibility too? If we haven't been out for a minute, isn't it easy to say, babe, we ain't been out to eat at a restaurant in a few months. You think maybe we can go this weekend? Nah. Most of the time, because you haven't put anything into it, because you sat and watched it deteriorate, you waited till this moment, right? With the moment where you want to flex a little bit. You wait till this moment and want to bring this out. But you're in this relationship, but you've done nothing to help that. Did you, like, hey, babe, listen, come on, we're going to go out to dinner tonight. Did you do that? No. You're sitting there saying, well, you haven't done this because but now you say, well, we haven't been, but what you're really saying is, I haven't been taken anywhere. I don't feel like you. Where is that coming from? See, when people are seeking to have a successful relationship, they're putting things in place to do too. Sweet as candy. Good morning, truck man. What's going on? It's your responsibility too. Don't sit back and tell your wife, your husband, okay, well, we haven't been anywhere for a while, and like challenging them on why we haven't done something. If you're saying we haven't been, what have you done on your end to make this happen? Right? What have you done? You won't look at that. You'll look at where that person is failing you. So I'm failing you because I haven't taken you out to dinner in a while. So you feel like what, less love? Or is it something else that you're eyeing that's been like talking about what they can do for you? And because your husband hasn't been doing it, your wife hasn't been doing it. So this person always told me, I can take you out. You ain't been last time you been out. What? You got a man at home and you ain't been out to eat. Oh, you willing to spend some money now just to get at it. You got all this good Gucci stuff, but you start leaning towards that conversation. That may not turn it into anything. It may just be, conversation, but you're feeling good around that person. And you begin to criticize and diminish the level of communication that you built yourselves up to together instead of having, hey, listen, I'm going to take you out to dinner this week. Right? I may have been so caught up in life that it didn't even dawn on me that, but why do I have to be the only one to hold that? You understand? Why do I have, I'm the one that has to be the one to take out the dinner. I'm the one that has to be, the one to go to fix dinner. I'm the one who has, so you don't look at these kind of things. You got to ask yourself like, well, we don't talk anymore. Why don't we talk anymore? You keep saying we. Why didn't you talk? You had something to talk about. Why didn't you talk about it? Oh, because you looked like you were so busy. So you shift the blame. But the duty is yours. Don't complain about what hasn't been happening when you can do something about it. My wife does that all the time. She'll be like, well, we haven't been out to dinner. But I know when it comes from her, that she ain't saying it to me in the sense that like, yo, you haven't taken me anywhere. She's saying in the sense that we need to get out because it's a responsibility of both of us. But when you make somebody feel like they're not doing things, that means that you're looking elsewhere. You're making a comparison to something else, so you're putting no effort into it, because that's what this article is about. This article is about the minimal amount of effort you put into your relationship, which is why you're quietly quitting, because you're not trying to resolve it. You're looking at something else, and you're feeling more in tune with that other thing because you don't have it at home. But instead of you pursuing it at home, you allow yourself to fall gullible and vulnerable to somebody else's slick talking, right? And you feel better about that, but you got somebody home. Why is it you having more fun at work than you are at home? Why you even live here then? Why are you in this relationship? Why are you in this space? Answer that question. Answer that question. Why are you still here? Why do you live with me? Why have you stayed in this relationship? And that old sad excuse, well, I was hoping. No, you weren't hoping that it was going to work, because you were doing things to bring it to its end, to wait till it just the bottom fall out. You were waiting for that. That's what you were waiting for. You weren't waiting to see if it was going to get any better, because if somebody doesn't know or know how to make it better because you haven't told them, then it's a whole different discussion to have. Stop getting in people's lives and sucking the life out of them, sucking their soul out of them, and then moving on. You never wanted anything in the beginning. Oh, sure, it's my responsibility, to make sure that I'm dotting my I's and crossing my T's and taking them red flags and putting them on the table between us and not turning the blind eye to. I get that part. But I'm talking about to those of you who keep blaming others for something that's not happening when you're doing nothing to make it happen, but you're gravitating towards somebody else. Good morning, Tiffany, Jessica, Amalf Gomez, 7943, Miguel. What's happening? So you have to look at this. Stop telling somebody what they're not doing. If you need for me to be more loving and caring, you don't think that I'm spending enough time with you, just say, hey, listen, can we spend some time tonight? Right? Or make yourself available. If you're always upstairs and I'm always downstairs, maybe it's time for us to kind of find some way to get together. But if I'm downstairs, like, come on downstairs. Create the time, create the space. Stop thinking a person should be a mind reader and they should be automatically doing these things because that's what you think they should be doing. Therefore, you do less. You do less. You just come home and get in the bed. Okay, you know what? It's a routine. I'm just routine. I do it. If you wanted something more from me, just say, hey, listen, can you not just like go to bed tonight that early? Can you just come and spend some time with me? It's easy to do that, but it is so hard. It is so hard. Here's TikTok comes with this inactivity. I don't know what kind of when they say inactive, like I'm sitting right here in front of the camera, I'm talking to you, and they're saying it's like inactivity. Should I be like doing all of this stuff like that? Like should I be like dancing, and having a serious heart to heart conversation? I don't know what it is that they want, but activity. You hear voice, you hear audio, like duh. So anyway, so that's what the lyrics would talk about in the song. You don't bring me flowers anymore, right? Um, so quiet quitting, back to the article, quiet quitting describes the practice of doing the minimum you can do and still managing to hold on to a job, in this case, marriage. If you're the spouse who is still invested in the relationship, it can be dismaying to see your partner seem to evaporate into thin air over time. They may still be showing up physically, but you feel that they are as ephemeral, ephemeral, ephemeral as a ghost in terms of the substance they bring to the marriage. Mouth dry. So it's saying here, you fall into a routine now. You go to work, we come to work the same time. We both do 8 to 4, 9 to 5s. Come home, we have our routines. I come home, bam, in the shower, bam, remote, watching TV. You come home, bam, your routine, going right to the kitchen. Fix the food, get with the kids, make sure everybody feed, do this. Bam. Now it's your time to go shower, right? By this time, I've already settled down because I came home and took mine. I wind down. Yours doesn't end until the family is taken care of. Then you go and do yours. By this time, I'm in the bed, right? I'm in the bed. Where are you? You just wrapping up your day, getting lunch and stuff ready for the kids for the next day yourself or even me. 2 hours later, you're in the bed. Where am I? Sleep. Right? And we just have this routine. And this is what we do every day. Who's doing what to ensure that we're staying unified, that we're standing on a foundation of stability in this relationship? Who's looking for that? Is it the man or is it the woman? I'm a doer. You tell me you need something, I'll make it happen. I'll make sure it happens. I'm accommodating. That's who I am. I know my wife. I know that if we haven't done something in a minute, I'll acknowledge it when I realize that it hasn't and do something about it. She'll do the same thing. We don't blame each other for why something didn't happen. We don't go to each other and say, well, you haven't done this for me or that for me. Holidays come up. What you want? I don't want nothing. I don't need anything. I don't need anything. Right? It's always an awareness right here. You have to always keep your partner first and foremost. When you choose to be with that person, you make the choice to be responsible to that person. When you choose to marry a person, it is your responsibility first and foremost to take care of that person first. Plain and simple. You made the choice to marry that person. Did you understand what you were taking on? Did you understand that now that's my ace boon coon? That's my ride or die. My homie, lover, friend. All of those things. All those things that you be seeking outside the relationship. I need, I got to hang out with my friends. No, this is your friend. This is your lover. This is your caretaker. This is your duty right here. And if you're looking outside of that, that's a problem. Because you're supposed to be all of that to your partner. That's what you're supposed to be to me. I do these things with my friends. I can tell you not to have any friends. I'm first. I'm first. No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. I am first. You take care of me first. You give me mine first. Second, third, and fourth. Yeah. That's how you solidify a relationship. But many of you are not seeking to be married. So why are you wasting somebody's life? But you wouldn't want somebody to do that to you. We've been dating now for 6 months. What are we doing? Dating. Just that. We're dating. Why? I want to get married. Well, I just want to date. Okay, well, this is over. What? Now you're hurt. You're devastated. You're in your feelings. Why? You just wanted to date. No, what you wanted was a person to commit to you so you can have that one person you're sleeping with on demand on demand company, on demand sex, on demand event planning. That's what you want. Because if you're not seeking to marry, how long do you think that's going to go on? Well, we might do it later. We're not going to think about it now. Well, we're not going to be getting together then. We're not going to be dating then. Let's call it the other thing. And we're just screwing around. But you won't call it that because of this value system, this make believe value system that you've created within yourself that, well, no, I just don't want to sleep around with different people. But I'm not ready for a serious relationship. But the value of self to be spread around, you're okay with. But the value of committing means that you have to do work. And that's the part that's the this. That's the this that most people don't want to do. This. I can't do this. They can't do that part. Because that means I have to surrender. I have to compromise. I don't want to do that. There are four aspects of the, back to the article. There are four aspects of the relationship that may offer clues that you're married to a quietly quitting spouse or that you're quietly quitting the relationship yourself. Right? I told you, answer that question. Why are you here? Why do you live in this house with me? If you desire to be with someone else, if you think that you have a better relationship, a better friendship with someone outside of this relationship, that's a problem. If you could only say, well, I still live here because of the kids. If you say, well, because I can't afford to go, you can't not afford to go and get your own place. It's not right. What is the purpose of you being in a relationship with someone when you got other relationships formed outside of that relationship, when you're not seeking to fix what's happening between the two of you so you can have that same love, the same freedom that you have taken and put together in this Frankenstein monster that you've created? Because now you have all these pieces of other people, men, women in your life who are fulfilling parts that are missing from the relationship between you and your spouse. So you make a Frankenstein monster. There's no freedom in that. There's no fulfillment in that. You find yourself thinking that you're having fun because you're getting attention. Well, you get the attention at home. You can get the attention at home. Hey, 3400. This is Jay-Z. Devlimp, what's going on? Good morning. Stephanie Curry, good morning. Jody Valentine. Hey, what's going on, cousin? I had to read that like 4 times to figure out what that. So you have to begin to look at these things yourself. So let's go to the first one. Number one, doing the minimum. Quiet quitting is always it's all about putting out the least possible energy and doing as little as possible to get by. Why are you doing that to yourself? Why are you giving me just this much? You give me a shot every couple of weeks, but the bills are paid every month. But you go here and you go there and you get all these things, right? All year round, all the time. Holidays come up, birthdays come up. You know, you want to go here, you want to go there. They come up. All of those things are done. What have you given? What have you given of value? Sex? Come on. Really? Sex? You got to look at this. You want to spend as little time as possible with your partner, doing only things on the required list. What is the required list? Right? Who set the required list? In most cases, it's the woman. On most cases, it's the woman. These are the requirements for you as a man. The tide has turned. It's more difficult now because men are being more vocal in telling you, the woman, what that required list is. And that's making things even more difficult. Even more difficult. Because I have a required list. I'm not supposed to. Back to the article. You find yourself making plans to do things on your own. And you find that you're not worried about leaving your partner alone on their own. Quiet quitters often feel that there is little hope that their relationship can be rekindled, and that this sense of futility keeps them from vocalizing their opinions or needs. That's on you. I'm not feeling sorry for you because you failed to approach the situation and then you turn around and you blame me and tell me, well, it's because of you, because I can't have a conversation with you. Why do you stay then? Why do you stay then? We've been doing this 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Why do you stay? Why do you keep taking? Because now this is what you become. You become a thief. You become a snake. You're deceitful. You're deceptive. Sometimes I'm just ignorant. I don't know. Enlighten me. Tell me, yo, can we, but again, make it legitimate. Don't just create it because it's an expectation or something you put on a required list that I don't know about. Required list is something that we all should know about. Don't blindside people. Stop blindsiding people with your stuff. Stop taking from people. You don't want to be here, don't be here. But don't take advantage of those benefits when I should be, first and foremost, the true benefit of this relationship. I should be the true reason why you're in this relationship. But when I'm not, right, I'm being made to believe that I am, but then I'm finding out along the way that I'm not. So along the way, when I find out that I'm not, I'll let you go. But then you tell me that it was my fault, that I wasn't doing all these things. But you sat back for a whole 2, 3, 4, 5 years and watched this no longer happen event and get mad at me because it didn't happen. But you're not mad at you because you didn't have the capacity or the ability to come and say, hey, can we do a little more of this? Instead of justifying your behavior. Well, I know you're always working and, this, that, and the other. So I just didn't say nothing. And, yeah, I hurt myself in the end by not saying nothing. But like now we done already because you done already went out and sought that which you were finding missing in our relationship. You went and again, Frankenstein monster. You don't see how we do this. We, and I changed that to from you to we because I've done it. I've done it. Married. I'm on my 5th marriage. Married. The most accommodating person. Doing all these things. My first marriage was just a disaster from the gate. I was a mess. I wasn't shit. I was a bum. Right? Plain and simple. I was about the street life. Right? I can have to always take my hat off to her because she took the hell that I was in. But at the end of that road, the realization of such had to be admitted within me. Didn't have to have the conversation with her. So move to the next. But there's years in between. It doesn't matter. All these years with each one of these marriages that I devoted into it, I sought resolution in the wrong way. In the wrong way. And when you do that, you take other people down too. Because I'm a good dude. Right? I know what your required list is, but I also know how to ask for what your required list is. Because you can love me, but you have to learn how to love me the way I need to be loved, not just the way you know how to love. There's a difference. There's a big difference. And a lot of people are not equipped to do that. They're not equipped to have the conversation. to have the conversation that, hey, listen, I like what you bring in, right? But this is what works for me, right? I'm doing my part, but this is what works for me. This is how I need to be loved. And as I continue to say in every show, for a man, respect is love. You coming out your mouth, oh, I love you, baby. Oh, yeah, that means absolutely nothing if you're not showing me respect. Period. Whole lot of Miko, what's going on? It's not going to work. Either you're going to go all in or don't come in at all. Right? There's no such thing as 50-50. We are 100. We are 100. If you are not willing to give 100, bye. Bye. Go now. Go now. Don't waste my time. Go now. You can't keep sitting back draining me. It talked about that in the earlier part of the article about being physically available. And this is something I always talk about when I'm doing classes on fatherhood, right? I was emotionally unavailable in the lives of my children early on, up until 94. So 85 to 94, my three daughters were born, right? I was about that life. So did hair, of two of my daughters. One of my daughters, I was not physically there. She was with her mom, whole different situation. But still, not emotionally available to any of them. Not emotionally available to any of them. I was a damn animal. In every sense of the word animal. Right? Totally lost my mind. I was just a space cadet. Right? Nice guy, good dude, didn't mess with nobody. I haven't had a fight since 1977. Let that marinate for a minute. Since 1977, I have not had a fight. I was 17 years old. 90% of the time, I roll by myself. I hung out with my cousins, right? But as far as like rolling, I rolled solo most of the time. You know, I had cousins who I was real close to. My cousin Carol, my cousin Vanessa, my cousin Jean. Hung out with them. But as far as rolling, I was solo. Nobody bothers me. And I don't bother anybody else. But a person who is very accommodating can be stepped on and trampled on and beat up something unbelievable. Right? So I've been through that. I've always been, and I don't, in relation, I don't look at how much you're doing, how much you're not doing. I'm aware, but that's not my focus during the relationship. So if you're not focused on the relationship and you're doing, sometimes you can miss that. You'd be like, well, I've been doing all this, and not realizing the person that already quit on you. Because you're doing all the things you think validate the relationship. And sometimes we forget things. Because this is the other part to it, right? We forget. We're responsible for that. The other person's responsible to remind us. The other person's responsible to step in and say, hey, we haven't been out since like January. It's August now. I made plans for us to go to dinner tonight. Don't make me feel like I failed in doing something because it's our relationship. I can't fail on my own. Charles Tomini, what's happening? I can't fail on my own. The relationship fails because of us. I'm failing to meet the needs. I'm failing to meet that required list. I'm not. I forgot about the required list. Why? Again, your role in a relationship. What's going on with you? You've been seeming a little agitated over the last few weeks, and I know you've been talking about some things with your job going on, but what's happening with you? Where's your responsibility and your duty being fulfilled? That don't even need to be on the list. Empathy don't need to be on the list. Sympathy don't need to be on the list. Respect don't have to be on the list. It's things that are on that required list that are outside of the natural human duty that you have to another human being. That's not the required list. Number 2, heart versus head. And if you're just tuning in, what we're talking about is 4 signs of quiet quitting in a relationship. And most of the focus is on how people don't even like give a level of courtesy that is due to a dog to simply say, this is going to the left. We need to fix it. A lot of people just simply blaming the other person for failing to do the things that they used to do. You don't buy me flowers anymore. You used to take me out to dinner, at least once a month. You used to come home and used to hug and kiss me. They got this whole laundry list of what you used to do. But when you ask them, so when you saw this happening, what did you do? Well, I'm doing something about it now. There. Oh, I got it. Yeah. But you're mad. Why are you mad? How can you call us in a relationship and we supposed to be ace boon coons, homies, ride or dies and all that, but you couldn't come to me and say, let's do this? You couldn't initiate that on your own? I don't get it. Right? Heart versus head. When you're in love, your heart and mind are both hyper focused on your partner. Pay attention. Hyper focused. When you're in a relationship, you are hyper focused attentively. But if you're quiet quitting, when you think about your partner, your heart doesn't respond. The relationship feels like, and you treat it like an obligation. I'm just here, you know. He'll get you the jewelry store eventually. In the meantime, I love this bed. I love my patio. I love the pool. I love these benefits that I'm getting. I'm good. I keep dealing with it. And then other things, our Frankenstein monster, get attached to our lives. He doesn't do this, but he does. She doesn't do this, but she does. You understand? So you create this Frankenstein monster. Now you have all these lives that are attached to your life in this monogamous relationship. It's not a monogamous relationship. It's not. It's patchwork. It's Frankenstein. Because now you have to commit to certain requirements on their list for why we're in this relationship. Oh, sure, you can just immediately say, well, no, what? I'm good. We're not going to see each other anymore. Okay. So now you take one of the parts of this Frankenstein that you created and put it away. You find another part. And this is how you spend your life with a Frankenstein monster because of what you have failed to address within yourself about what you need to do. You have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to learn to communicate. You have to learn. At 65, I'll be 65 next month. I still learn. I get rid of the stuff that don't matter. And I enable my mind to have a new idea grafted onto it. Yeah. I'll do that till I die. You find teenagers that know everything. You know, as kids, we know every damn thing. But at what point do you start listening? That's the key. Just because you were able to achieve a part of what you sought after doesn't mean that you are going to get its full blessing, because you have limited your learning, because now you don't know how to keep it. You don't know how to keep it. You got it. You don't know how to keep it. Oh, you think because you got this man that, oh, you better than that other person. But you didn't know about the ass kickings. You didn't know about the selfishness. Yeah, you got that too. Because you went, listen. Back to the article. Not only does the heart seem to shut down against the partner, but the body does too. A quietly quitting partner may look for excuses to avoid intimacy and lovemaking. They find reasons to avoid the daily goodbye kiss before work. If they tried to hold your hand, you might suddenly feel the urge to brush back your hair, adjust your glasses, cross your arms, whatever you can do to avoid contact. There. Think about it. Think about it. Are you doing that right now? Is somebody doing that to you? Is there something that you can do to fix that right now? If you've been feeling that, if you've been observing that kind of behavior from yourself or from your partner, is there something that you can do about it right now? Or is it just not worth that because it's so far gone? It's been going on so long. But you'll stay there till the wheels fall off the bus as long as you're comfortable in being able to continue doing what it is that you desire to do, all in the name of love. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Number 3, partnership in the business sense of the word. Your perspective on the marriage and your connection to your partner shifts from happily ever after or love match to something more like a business relationship with a contract that's hard to break. However, a quiet quitter may begin to imagine what it could feel like to break that contract. They may think about what living single would be like, fantasizing about a new life that doesn't include their partner. They're gone. They show up every day. They open the door. They sit down at the table, talk about little idle, irrelevant stuff. No planning. It's more of like asking you, what you doing this weekend? Like, in other words, like, what are you doing with your life this weekend? Because we're not in a life together. What do you have planned this weekend? Yeah. We're living 2 entirely separate lives. 2 entirely separate lives. And neither of us realizes it. We just know that it's settling in, that like, this has become like boring. It's nothing to do here, and then you start looking again elsewhere for something to do, which becomes somebody to do. And there's always somebody looking to do. Somebody always wants to do. Right? Somebody always wants to do. Somebody. It's the fix. But I love this person that I'm with. But this person doesn't do this. This person doesn't do that. So again, I just ask the question, why do you continue to stay there? When are you going to leave? Why do you keep going through the motions with this person? If this person is still there, do you know how much they love and care for you? Did you ask them? No, because you can't even ask them, why can't we go out to dinner, this week? Or can we go out to dinner this week? No, you don't know who you're with. You don't care who you're with. You're going to stay in your comfort zone and go ahead and keep playing Dr. Frankenstein and making your monster using all these different people and wonder why you're batshit crazy with your attitude, right? Number 4 on that list, apathy or lack of care and concern. And I talked about this. There's things that are on the required list when you're having a relationship with somebody, but empathy, apathy, concern, care are not on the requirement list. That's basic stuff. If you can't treat me like a human being, you got to go. If you can't talk to me like a human being, I'm not asking you to talk to me in a way that has some particulars other than laden with respect. Right? You've got a problem with that, then you see somebody out on the side of the highway panhandling, right? Pray for them. You ain't got to give them some. Pray for them. At least do that. Right? I look at people, man, who in that position, and I say, there, but God, but by the grace of God, could be I. I remember places that I was in. I have gratitude, which is something else that's missing from a lot of relationships. They're not grateful for one another because they're too busy nitpicking, that person apart because of things that the person is not doing that they think that they should do. I don't want to do that. That's what makes me an individual. You need to look at the kind of individual you are. You don't know how to talk to people with any level of empathy. You're not empathetic. You're not apathetic. You're just apathetic in your own relationship with humanity. And then we start laying on all the other stuff that we use in society today to divide us. And we keep pointing in the direction of the government dividing us. We're dividing ourselves. But that's not today's topic. So paradoxically, back to the article, you may find yourself arguing or disagreeing less than you used to. You just don't have the fighting anymore. Conflict takes energy. Yeah. And you don't feel that relationship is worth the investment of time or energy. You take care of your own needs and figure that your spouse can look after themselves. I just told you that. Or if your partner is doing the quiet quitting, you notice they're no longer doing the little things for you that they once did. And they have lost interest in spirited discussions or hashing out differences. Right? These are the things that you have to start looking at if you want to be successful within yourself. Because it starts with the relationship within you. What will you tolerate? Are you consistent with what you will tolerate? Do you take the same thing from your husband or your wife that you do from your employer? Does your employer verbalize what it is they need to say to you in a way that is on your list, not your required list, but your list of how you talk to people, how you communicate your concerns about things? Do you accept things from your boss that you don't accept from your spouse? Do you talk to your spouse the same way you talk to your boss? And if you have any doubt in there that there's a difference, maybe this is the time to start looking at it. So the first thing you say is, oh, well, my boss pays me. Oh, I need to pay you for you to have that kind of relationship with me? That person gets because they pay you? But you sleep with me. We do a lot of nasty things together. We eat and drink together. But I need to pay you for you to show me respect in the conversation. That's how you see the value that you actually have to that person. That actually shows the person how much they value you and where their values lie with you. And a lot of times it never happens because we don't have that conversation. Because we become so desensitized to the feelings of another person because we have been laden with so much selfishness, self hate, envy, and jealousy, comparing ourselves to the life of Hollywood. And Hollywood is anything but a life. You find out all these stories. Oh, I thought she had $96 million. She's not worth that. Oh my God, she's wearing all of this, that, and the other. So it talks about here about a quiet quitting assessment. You have three factors were identified that reflected the essence of the phenomenon: detachment, lack of initiative, and lack of motivation. These reflect the behaviors that relationship quiet quitters exhibit as their emotional investment in the relationship dwindles while their sense of obligation persists. And that's another part of this. In a look, for me, I'm a person who will always try to ensure that I am meeting the obligation, meeting the obligation, right? And that's part of my conditioning and being responsible to somebody. Like some situation, you would say, "Well, you should just walk away from that and just cut everything off." But yeah, but then there's some things that I know you have to make the adjustment to. So if I can help for a period of time, which is determined by me, you don't tell me how long I need to help you. You don't tell me how long I need to help you. If I decide to continue helping you, I'm going to help you in a manner that I can. So to continue to help with an electric bill until you can kind of get some connection, because I had that responsibility. None of my relationships ended on infidelity. My relationships ended because of just a dwindling of tolerance for continued unresolved. That sounds good, didn't it? Continued unresolved. My tolerance, for to continue facing those kind of things had just like tapped out. So I'm not. I would never say anything like to bash them. Never have, never will. Like whenever I encounter them in any hey, what's going on? What's happening? Still, hey, get out of here. Yes. Yeah, the kids don't find it. No, no enmity, no malice for what? It's two good people in a situation that didn't work. Regardless of what transpired between us, that's none of your business. Right? That happens. That's in with if you live in with yourself. That's, you got a lot to talk about. If you're really paying attention to you, living alone gives you a lot of conversation. Yeah. Now, why did I just do that? Didn't I just tell him that? Why did I do that? Now, why I got a headache this morning? Oh, because you can answer all of the questions that you want to answer if you want to answer those questions. But when you just give up on something instead of just simply saying, "Hey, listen, uh, can we fix this?" What makes you a better person? When you sat and you watched me sit with a rope around my neck, and you couldn't even come say, "Yo, take the rope from around your neck." How much could you really cared about me? Think about it. You see the direction the relationship is going in, but you can't have a conversation beyond being accusatory. You can't say, "Hey, what's going on?" Find out what's happening with the person. But you love me? Keep that out your mouth. Because that doesn't mean anything to men anymore. Really doesn't. We're sick of it. We're sick of being told, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you," with no effort of showing respect for us as the leader And if you keep making bad selections with selecting a leader, that's on you. Don't group men together because of your decision making. That's your decision making. Just like it was my decision making, searching for a queen. I'm not gonna blame bash women because I keep making those selections of people who are not willing to be in a certain place in order to see the whole picture, the big picture. That's not on me. It's on you. And that's not on you. That's on me. I need to see these things myself. So stop bashing other people. You made the selection. Oh, yeah, but I thought that they were. No, you wanted them to be. It's not that you thought that they were anything. Don't blame them. You wanted them to be. You wanted to whoop them into the position that you wanted them to be in, and it didn't happen that way. And in these days, men just ain't selling for that. Men are no longer settling for you just want to, whoop it on me, and that's the extent of what you're going to give me in a relationship. No, that's not what you're going to give me. First and foremost, you're going to give me respect. And if you have the idea in your mind that, well, most of these men this and most of these men that, and they don't deserve this, okay. Well, you don't need to be with me then. Because I'm not the guy for that extra stuff. I don't do all the extra stuff. I'm the most loving and caring and accommodating person that you will ever meet in life. Ever. I'm the guy who rides down the highway who cares about the person who's stranded on the side of the road. Even if they're sitting there in their car with the air conditioner on and they stranded. It's a terrible thing to be stranded. Especially when you're many, many, many miles away from something. I just want to help. I want to be able to. But that's who I am. To a fault. What I'm saying to you is if you see that a relationship is going in a particular relationship and it's the one that you are in and you are not doing anything to bring back that which you are now claiming to be losing, that's on you. That's not right. You're just using me until you find the one who's going to take you out of here because that's what you're looking for. But really, you're afraid to do that because if you do that, you have no guarantees with that. So therefore, you wind up, if anything, getting your own. But the level of comfort that you receive by being given mine, right, or by us getting something together, but in your head that you were planning to get it for you because you knew you weren't going to leave, right? But you weren't going to leave that place. See, I left each one of those places because they weren't going to leave. I wasn't going to keep taking myself through that. I wasn't going to take myself through that. Right? I'm going. I'm out. Bye. I don't care how much was put into the getting the house, getting the apartment, whatever. I'm out. I'm not staying because I'm not going to continue to live my life in this condition, knowing that this condition is not going to get better, knowing that staying in this condition, right, in the current condition that it's in, is going to take me to another place that I don't want to be, right? Put me backwards into another space, right? When I've gotten this far in my life, why would I want to continue to do that? I'm responsible for my own peace and freedom. I'm responsible. You're responsible for your own freedom. Stop beating up on people because they're not meeting the needs that you think they should need. Just move on. You have the right to move on. You want to yell and scream and call me outside of my name and do all this old dirty stuff to me simply because I didn't meet this required list that you had? Did you discuss your required list with me? Or did you just put it back here and think that I should be a mind reader and pick up on it and be able to fulfill these things? Well, then you didn't want the relationship in the beginning. You were looking for a specific person. That person doesn't exist. The person doesn't exist. And what often happens is that fantasy balloon gets burst and you see the real person, not the person you have made up in your mind that you want them to be based on this required list, right? Because people walk around with a required list just to see if you can meet this list. And if you can't, then they're mad at you for not fulfilling that fantasy which they fixed in their own mind. and y'all do it. Mature minds don't function in that capacity. If we're gonna have sex, let's just say we're gonna have sex. That's fine. But don't have an agenda of we're gonna have sex, I'm gonna whip it on you, I'm gonna make you love me. And then when I leave, it's like, but you told me that it was just sex. But then I knew how I was gonna make you feel as a person, right? And I knew that. So I'm supposed to like not do this because I know that this is what I'm going to do to you because I'm just that lovable person, that person that will protect you, that will always make you feel safe. I'm the real ride or die. I know this. Therefore, I have to take responsibility in knowing that I shouldn't do this because this is what's going to happen. And then I have to give myself an explanation as to why I did this to myself again. Now, we're not even together because that wasn't the intention in the beginning, but it felt so good being there that when I got there, I wanted to stay, but I didn't want it. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know. But that's what rabbit hole we take ourselves down. We try to convince ourselves that we're not doing this. We're trying to convince ourselves that we're such great, wonderful people when we're ripping people's lives apart because we're sitting there, we're seeing what's happening, and we're just quietly quitting on them and blaming them for why we quit, but gave nothing in the meantime. Gave nothing in the meantime. What's going on, Sean McGee? Everyone must follow the law. It's funny how that came up right under you, Sean. Everyone must follow the law. But it's funny, you came in above. Anyway, so you have to look at those things there. I don't put energy into back and forth stuff. I'm not going to do it. I don't have to. You're not going to make me. You understand? Right? I should respect you enough to listen to what it is that you have to say so I can get an understanding of what's happening here. Okay. Even if it's something that's triggering you and that's your unresolved, that you're responsible for fixing, I do need to understand and know that there is this issue with you, this unresolved. I'm not going to seek to help and fix it. That's not my job. I can't heal anybody. I'm not trying to fix anybody. But thank you for letting me know that when this happens, so I can be more aware, I can be more conscious of how I interact with you, right? Because I don't want to trigger you. I don't want to just be disregarding of your feelings about things. But I'm not going to walk around on eggshells either because you choose not to bring resolve to that. See? And all too often in relationships, people have to tiptoe around the unresolved of other people because they don't want them to snap. Because if they snap, then we know where it's going. Nah, I think you should go to counseling. I think you should get some help with that. You can choose not to. Because don't forget, if I trigger you, because we trigger each other, if I trigger you and you're not doing any work to manage that effectively, right? To sustain and maintain good relations with others, then that's not going to be good for me because you keep acting like this. I'm not going to accept you acting like this. You know it exists. Go do something about it. When you choose not to do something about it, then I'm going to do something about it. And sometimes doing something about it means me just walking out the damn front door. I'm just saying. Stop beating up on people because of decisions you made, because of expectations, unrealistic expectations in many instances that you made of somebody else. I can live in the hood, or I can live up in a mansion. Don't matter. I can adjust. I can assimilate. I can do all of those things. But I'm not going to compromise my values and beliefs and act in a way that you find to be uh, acceptable on our required list in this area. If I go to the hood, I gotta be involved in the gunplay, the hoorah stuff. If I live up in the in an affluent community, I have to talk in a way that's acceptable to everyone else. How is that? I mean, just think about it. I'm me. There's conduct that's accepted in the corporate office. There's conduct accepted on the street corner, right? Period. I'm not going to talk differently or walk differently simply because I'm just not going to go. If I have to go somewhere and I have to act this way, I listen. A professional is a professional, plain and simple. But if I have to live amongst people and act a way that this required list expects for me to act, I'm not going. Period. I'm not going. I'm not crazy. That again, who do you serve? Him or man? Yeah. Him or man? I don't serve man. I serve God. It's my responsibility to take a look at what it is that I'm doing. If I can save a relationship, right? By doing more, I'm going to do more. I don't like it's the cutoff for like saving a relationship between me and a wife, like the cutoff point. People have these cutoff points. Sure, we know it's things we won't accept. I can accept you putting your hands on me. But what is the cutoff point? And usually the cutoff point is established based on who's over there, option B. Who over there got that eye on me? Who over there I got my eye on? Really determines the level of intensity that is put into this relationship. That's what it comes down to. You can sit there all day long and blame him for not doing this and not being that and all this other stuff and how he acts this way and acts that way. But you've been with him for like 5 years now, and he's been acting that way for 5 years. That's what I mean, 5 years. But you chose to be in it for 5 years. You know, after 90 days of doing the same thing, it becomes routine. You've been doing this for 5 years. How much changing do you think you did in that 5 years because of your dissatisfaction with what he's been giving you for those 5 years? Who do you think you are now? Think about it. Think about how much you've changed in 5 years. And now the next person has to come along and deal with it, has to contend with all of that you have developed over the past 5 years because you didn't do any work in it, because you didn't sit down and say, why did I stay in this for 5 years? You didn't sit down and say, why did I watch this happen for 5 years? Because now every time you see that person, you still feel the same way you do. You still feel a little flutter. You still feel that. But because you don't want to change, you don't want to fix that which you need to check and fix yourself, it's easier to keep pointing and blaming the finger. So you do less, and you do less, and you do less. And you're not looking at the less, the impact that the less is having upon that person. So you're actually seeing something that they're not seeing. They're seeing something that you're not seeing. And because there's no conversation, there's no resolve, both of you are looking at the same thing happen and seeing it from two entirely different spectrums of the planet, and y'all both just let it go. It was doomed from the beginning, and because neither one of you had the capacity to pick up, to recognize, to identify what exactly was happening, in this relationship, because you just separated yourself and you just lived your life. And a lot of people do that. They live their life. They go in and out of the house every day. Hey, what's going on, bro? Okay, yeah. No other connection, because it's just the norm. It's just 5 years of familiarity. So this is what we do all the time, and not even noticing that the person just got braces. change their hairstyle. Oh, okay. You cut your hair. Okay. No. Oh, come here. Let me see that. You look for those things. And when you don't see that, come here, let me see it anymore. Then you say something about it. No, the baby, I've just been so busy, so preoccupied. The job is just so stressful. Some people don't come home and talk about jobs. They leave the job outside. It's a big thing of law enforcement. Law enforcement doesn't talk about the job. And actually talk about the job, talk about the emotional aspect of the psychological aspect of what you bring into this house because you don't turn that person off when you come in here. You have to take a look at. Don't quiet quit on somebody who you claim, you profess your love to. Don't do that. Don't do that. You may be letting a good situation diminish simply because of your own inability to confront difficult situations because you're not a problem solver. Problem solving for you is just letting it die on its own, not confronting what's happening, not asking the question, what can I do more of? Oh, I'm sick of doing, I'm always doing, it's always me, 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 me. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. But it's got to be me. If this is what I want, then I have to do that. I have to put both feet forward. I have to fight for it. I have to act like this is what I really want. I have to do that. I can't sit on past experience. I can't sit on that. I want this relationship. I want this woman. I want my wife. I want my husband. You have to tell yourself these things and you have to put yourself out there 100. Everything must change. Everything must go. If you're using excuses, oh, well, I've always lived by myself and always had to do things on my own. Well, I'm here. So why are you still doing that now? I'm here. Why are you still doing that now? You have to answer that question. We've been together for 3 years now, 2 years now. Why are you still using the same excuse for not having the conversation about things? Oh, well, I'm just used to. No, you want to hold on to that. And that's going to be a destructive area for that relationship because that's your requirement list. That's on the requirement list. That if I've showed you these things, if I use the basics of human interaction with you, right? The requirement list says that I understand it takes time to build a solid foundation. How many more years do we have to go through this building process? Because once you get a stable foundation to stand on, you're standing on that. It's me, you, and God. Our foundation of living, our foundation of resolve is God. Period. Go to God. Figure it out. But if that's not your foundation, you don't have nothing to stand on. And it's going to always be shortchanged. That's just simply, you can't get it any more simpler than that. It's going to be a short lived relationship. Period. No relationship is ever going to be perfect. There's nobody perfect out there to have one with. There's no person, no person out there who's perfect. How can you have a perfect relationship? What you have to have is a foundation of living. Stop saying I'm going to Jesus and you keep acting the same way. Stop saying I'm going to Muhammad. I'm going to Allah. Stop saying them. You don't even know who they are. You just know what their names are. You don't know who they are. You don't know what it means to rely upon God and God solely. Right? So your foundation of living is unstable. That's what you have to look at. Hey, y'all, make sure y'all check out our website, Alim for you, the number four, ALIM, the number four, the letter U.net. It's a whole bunch of new merchandise there. Over the past few days, I've put it's probably I think we're at 84. My goal is 100 items on that website. Get ready to go back to Shopify. Go to put 100 items on that site. Haven't gotten a date yet for our grand opening for our pop up shop. The pop up tent is done. That's ready to go. That's prepared. It's going to withstand any storm. We got merchandise here in the studio. I'm going to be showing that on my social media platforms in the coming days. Just solidifying some financial stuff, connecting all the dots so we can take our payments. Excuse me, on the spot payments. But I'm bringing you in. We're working towards a TikTok store right now. Amazon. And I think Walmart. I think it's another marketplace we're working on as well. So we're getting ready to have those things out soon. Make sure you go to my Sabir educational station on YouTube. If you enjoy Daddy's Right Here Live, there are over 500 videos on my Sabir educational station on YouTube. Bring friends over, bring couples over, and find a topic and sit down and watch and enjoy the show together. Now the shows, listen, I'm an intense person. I go right in. I don't do the wavering, the vacillating. I go right in. It is what it is. Even if you can't sit and watch a whole hour, at least watch 30 minutes of the show. Some of these shows, 2 hours I'm getting ready to switch back up to my 1 hour show because I have other things I have to come online now to do to push our brand. But go to the site, man. Today's Saturday. Go ahead and get your gear together, and whatever you're doing to chill with, you sit there and sit that down. You might not want to be chilling too much on this one because you might have some stuff that comes up. But take one of the shows, man. Put the show on and sit there and watch it with other couples. Sit there and watch it with your partner and open up the floor for some dialogue. If you're with somebody, be with them. Grow with them. You might not be with them, might not stay with them forever. Nothing is guaranteed. No human being is guaranteed. But have a conversation with one another about hopes, dreams, and aspirations. And it's a lot that you'll learn about yourself in these kind of interactions. Tell me. You need to check it out. Make sure you also check out my music. Yeah, I do the music thing. I'm working on some other pieces now. I worked on a few beats over the past couple of weeks. I'm ready to drop another song or two or three. But yeah, so that's on the burner as well. So I'm always doing something, always keeping myself occupied. I'm not just trying to sit back and just grow old. I don't know about nobody else. I'm just not trying to sit back and be in some shell, man. Nah. AlimForYou.net. Matter of fact, make it simple. Google Sabir Alim. Just Google my name. Google it. And like about the first 4 to 6 pages, you'll find everything that I have my hands on. Yeah. Busy. But the focus always has to be on personal growth and development. You gotta improve as a person. Well, you don't gotta. But if you want to really live and enjoy this life in any capacity, you got to free yourself, man. For real. Free yourself of the stuff that you impose, the self imposed stuff, and stop looking and blame everybody else for why your condition is as such. If you're an adult, you choose to stay in the condition of the childhood trauma. You choose to be there. If you didn't, you would go get some help. Go get some help. Right? I can't change anybody. I'm not seeking to change anybody. That is not on a requirement. Listen to relationship. No. You got some unresolved, you fix it. I'm not your doctor. I'm a 30-year clinician. I'm not taking that on. That's your job. Absolutely not. Okay. Listen, thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm your man, Sabir Lean. Make sure you check out these other. I'm trying to find some here. What am I looking for here? These other social media platforms of mine. It's a lot of good information. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. But it's healthy living. It's always focusing on giving back, doing something for other people, not focusing on doing something for myself. I do a lot for myself, but the focus is on doing more for others. The more you do for others, the better life is, because helping others helps me. Yep, I need a haircut, y'all. Cut this stuff down. I always wanted to have this silver and black thing going on, and beard, and look like Grizzly Adams soon. But I'm gonna take all that down. But yeah, you just gotta take a look at your life, man. You're in control of your life. You can't blame anybody else for why your life is stagnant, but you. And nobody but you. So I'm your man, Sabir Aleem. I'll see you next Saturday for another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live, as always. But make sure you check me out during the course of the week. I'll be doing some in-house stuff, showing you the office. We call it the lab. Recording studio right here behind me. Podcast lab right here in front of me. And the rest of the area is all heat press, sublimation, transfers, laser, printers, copiers. We got another a sublimation printer coming in that's 13 by 19 print. So we're getting a larger print. We can cover more material. Ultimately, we're going to move towards having a DTG unit where we can just put it right onto the garment and not have to deal with film at all. That's the goal. So retirement has been good. It's been good. It's been good. It's been good. It's getting better. Blood pressure 120 over whatever that number's supposed to be. I ain't been there forever. My blood pressure for the longest time has been 169 and above. Yeah. But thanks for tuning in, y'all. I'll see y'all on the other side. See you on the other side. See you on the other side. AleemForYou.net. Don't forget, man. Go there. See what we have new on Etsy. Check out what we have on our Bluetooth station as well. Yeah, Bluetooth. Red Bubble. I'm looking at the color blue and all that. But yeah, go to our Red Bubble site. But if you go to AleemForYou.net, you just click on either one of those links. If you run into some blanks on some of your links, which you shouldn't, with those you won't. I'm currently updating the website, switching over to the holiday stuff. I got some wonderful stockings. Yeah, stockings. Christmas stockings. They're out. My ugly sweaters are out. And my sweatshirt hoodies, zip-up hoodies, fur line. Yeah, they got fur inside of them. It's false fur, but it's fur. But that's part of my uglies collection. I'll be doing some more sweaters and sweatshirts. Make sure you stay tuned, man. I got some sweatshirts that are coming, man. You won't find sweatshirts with these kind of prints on, these kind of designs. It's not. I don't know why nobody do that. Same way with polo type shirts. I got polo type shirts that I'm putting out now that are designed. Yeah. Make sure you grab those things up. They're cheap, man. Yeah, these and like the Christmas stockings are like $15. I can't wait to take y'all in here, man. I got so much stuff to do in here, man. My wife and I being up in this joint, man, getting it in, right? It's a lot of administrative stuff that I'm doing right now. But listen, everyone must follow the law. Marie France, Malia's moving. Hey, Malia. Carlos Cevallos, 775. Listen, you guys can be doing anything else on a Saturday morning than listening to me. I appreciate it. Um, Make sure you go to my Siberline educational station on YouTube. Yeah, just Google Siberline. Go to the station. 500 plus videos. Right? I've been doing this about 2006, 2007, I think, is when I started doing the online thing. Even before it became popular, I was doing this. Yeah. I was having fatherhood activities and I was putting them on to the social media. So I'm still doing that. You know, this is something that my children's great grandchildren would be able to go to and say, hey, there's Papa. Right. As always, you got to go check those things out. But yeah, also for Daddy's Right Here, I'm looking to start doing some classes here in South Florida. Probably won't jump off to next year. I got to set some other things. I finished this business plan for what it is I like to see happen down here at Riviera Beach. Yeah, that's another thing that's on my agenda. So legacy, baby. It's always about legacy. You know, it's always about what's up, the Educator 61. What's happening, man? Good to see you. Yeah. So I'm usually on at 10. I might have to starting a little later, you know, so I can be on here to welcome you guys who are jumping in now. Maybe I started like 11. I started 10 now, so maybe 11 to 1, maybe that would be ideal time. I like to, you know, see your faces while I'm here. But yeah. Start looking at yourself differently. You know, like I said, a lot has changed for men. Men are thinking differently. We're not just like some loose. Nah, we're tired of the nonsense. We're tired of giving it all and having it all taken. Nah. But yeah, Sabir Alim. Peace.